Golf is not known for being a scandalous sport. Even though we are talking about famous, unbelievably rich people, they usually live more quiet lives than those who do other things. And fans are definitely known to be much less hooligan-like and calmer than people who watch other sports. But exceptions are always there, and against this more sedate background, those who go off the track stand out even more. Sometimes, these scandals directly go back to what happens on the pitch and bring the game into disrepute. Hey guys, and welcome back to yet another episode. Today, we will be going over some scandals that turned the golf world completely upside down. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, press on the bell icon to stay updated. Dustin Johnson lives like a rock star. In 2018, Dustin Johnson was the highest-ranked golfer in the world, but only a few years before, he was trying too hard to throw it all away. This is probably not surprising, since Johnson, while he may be excellent at golf, is known to have a bag of concrete for a brain, and was once stated as being so dense that even the light bends around him, says The Telegraph. Maybe that is why he thought getting high would be a great idea, despite realizing he would be tested for using illegal substances. Johnson failed 4 drug tests in 5 years, once for marijuana and thrice for cocaine. This resulted in his literally being kicked off the tour for a while in 2014. John Daly acts like he hates money. Daly was talented enough to win obscene amounts of cash playing and did not mind losing at gambling. But the numbers are truly shocking. Before he sat down to write his 2007 autobiography, SB Nation says Daly was under the assumption that he might have only lost about $22 million to $27 million. Then he checked through his tax records and found it was more than double that, in the $56 million range. It was such a significant part of his life, he dedicated a whole chapter of the book to his addictions history. Probably the saddest story was when he won $740,000 at a tournament, then went straight to Las Vegas and lost $1.64 million in just 6 hours. But USA Today states that even when he won at the table, he did not always manage to hold on to it. Greg Norman took breaking up to the next level. Divorces are never delightful, but it is possible to remain civil even when you add ridiculous amounts of money and fame into the mix. The first wife of Norman, Laura Andrassy, sure did not think he was very lovely when she found out he had been cheating on her, and according to the Herald Sun, it was not just with any random, but with a very close friend of the couple, tennis star Chris Evert. The Normans were close friends with Evert and her husband, and they went on a trip together, which is when the affair began. When Andrassy came to know about it, she left Norman and disputed for her share of the 11th richest Australian's $550 million fortune. Robert DiVincenzo's distraction cost him the green jacket. As per Golf Digest, it was the tournament's final day, and DiVincenzo was in the game to win the green jacket. He birdied the 17th hole, but then he bogeyed the 18th. He was distressed. He thought that last hole had lost him the Masters. His partner Tommy Aaron wrote down the scores for the last 2 spots on DiVincenzo's card, but mentioned a par on 17 by accident. DiVincenzo was still wondering about that bogey and did not check the card. Meanwhile, Aaron looked over his 7 or 8 times. DiVincenzo was instantly called to the room, signed the card immediately, and walked away. Aaron took it up to turn it in and saw his mistake. He quickly alerted the officials, but they stated it was too overdue. DiVincenzo would be added with an extra stroke. The game ended with him 1 stroke behind the winner. Amazingly, he took the failure extremely well, blaming himself entirely. What a stupid I am. Phil Mickelson was naughty with stocks. Phil Mickelson is famous for his lucky getaways on the golf course, but that was nothing in contrast to what he tried to get out of in 2017. It all began because of his friendship with Billy Walters. Walters was a famous Las Vegas gambler who went on to be a kind of unofficial bookie, and several gamblers, like Mickelson, often owed him money. Another guy who settled bets with him and was, therefore, mostly in his debt was Tom Davis, a board member at Dean Foods. His position meant he was aware of the information he legally had to keep it silent. The government says as a system to pay Walters back, Davis came up with an insider trading scheme. Strangely, around that time, a friend of Walter, Mickelson, suddenly began investing in Dean Foods as well and made almost $1.5 million. It seems Walters was passing on the insider info to the golfer, making him part of the illicit scheme. But because there was somebody between him and the information source, Mickelson was not brought to trial. Tiger Woods did not keep it in his pants. At 2:32 a.m. on 27 November 2009, a disoriented Tiger Woods rammed his fancy car into a fire hydrant in front of his house. The official line, as per the Orlando Sentinel, was that Woods, who has trouble while sleeping, was on his way to exercise and was not fleeing the family house after his wife Ellen had just found out he had been cheating on her. The public was also made to believe that Ellen had rammed the window of his car with a golf club to help him free after the crash, not in anger. Strange then, if that was her intention, she smashed in the back window. After the collision, their life of Woods fell apart. Women ran to the channels to share their experiences of having affairs with the most famous golfer in the world. They just kept coming. Vanity Fair says they included nightclub hostesses, waitresses, escorts, adult film stars, and a lingerie model. The appealingly perfect father of two was living a double life. Jane Blalock crumbled her legacy for a better lie. According to a Sports Illustrated article from 1971, Blalock cheated from the start of her career. By 27, she was the major money earner on the women's tour, but had already been well-mannered for infringements on the course. The LPGA had talked to her for more than one serious meeting, telling her that she had been under suspicion for over a year and that there were witnesses who had seen her move her ball on several occasions. They finally suspended Blalock for a year and fined her $550, but she turned around and sued for $6 million. Her reputation was crumbled. Her colleagues on the tour decided to plow her under and see her shattered. They snubbed Blalock and her family and persuaded her friends to ignore her. When she returned to gameplay, one fellow player said, "I would not have the nerve to show my face around here. I'd be in South America." The 1999 U.S. Ryder Cup team and fans behaved like animals. The Ryder Cup is one of the most auspicious competitions in golf. Held every 2 years, it gives over a team from the USA against a group of Europeans. It is a great honor to be able to play, which makes what took place at the 1999 Ryder Cup in Boston all the more disgraceful. As per The Guardian, it was all the mistake of the US team and their fans. The spectators acted like animals, and the American players behaved like madmen. The US was losing poorly going into the last day, but then began a remarkable comeback. The players excitedly began lashing the beer-guzzling fans into the crowd. Eventually, the usually staid fans were noisier than a soccer match, hurling swears at European players. Then a fan happened to spit on one of the European players' wives. But the worst, in terms of golf, was what happened near the last of the match. An American player sank a putt that positioned their team to win, but a European player still had to make his putt. Typically, any celebrating would wait until after everyone was finished, but the Americans went insane. It would be 7 minutes before it was quiet enough for the European to putt. Shame. Saying that, we have come to the end of this video. If you liked this video, then make sure to hit on that like button you see there. We will be coming back with more exciting content. Until then, take care!